Why young people are suffering. A young person genuinely believes they're not deserving, they're not meant to have the things that they want, they don't deserve love, they don't deserve success, there's something wrong with them, they're inadequate, they're inept. So there is a fundamental disalignment from what the core beliefs should be in a person. The core beliefs should be that I am capable, I'll be able to overcome things, I will get what I want, I will be successful, I will fucking conquer, I will deal with this. Sure, this may be bad, but that does not mean my entire life is dark. It does not paint reality as entirely dark. So going back, there's a fundamental problem in the way the human thinks about themselves. And the causes of this could be, number one, family, your childhood, where you come from. Either you were neglected by your parents, the brain of the child, in order to make sense of the neglect. Why am I neglected by my parents, by my caregivers, by people who love me? Maybe they neglect me because I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not that important. Maybe they don't love me enough. Or you're in a house where you suddenly get too much love and then they distance from you. So the brain of the child remains in a state where it's constantly figuring out or continually figuring out, what do I need to do so that the love of these people, my parents, my caregivers, their love will become constant. Their love will become present. Their love will become balanced. It will not go away. They'll not remove themselves. They will not walk away. They will not leave. How do I solve this thing? What do I need to do? So what they generate is an anxious disposition. They're always anxious about the fact that these people can leave. People who I love can leave anytime. I may have disappointed them. They may develop behaviors such as high clinginess, very high negative self-beliefs, low confidence. If somebody's misbehaving, if somebody's being a POS, then maybe it is still my fault. I've caused people who love to leave me. Now you have an anxious disposition. Then you have parents who only give you approval, conditional approval, when you do something that they approve of. So follow my path, become obedient, become submissive, become subservient. For a person to become obedient, first thing that needs to be crushed is their autonomy. Self-belief. I can do this. No. You have to do what I tell you to do. That's the parent's mindset. So I'm going to take your autonomy. How is this person going to have strong core beliefs? This person is dependent on their parent. This person has a disposition of being dependent on others. They'll look for dependence. They'll look for guidance. They'll look for authority figures to seek approval from. Then comes childhood abuse, abandonment, chaotic home. Parents constantly criticizing you, negatively saying the worst things about you. If a parent says the most mean things to a child about themselves, those will be the core beliefs they will develop about themselves in the future as well. That's what they will believe about themselves. One of the strongest starting points are parenting, your childhood home. What did you experience? Chaos, exchanges, type of parenting, the nature of parents, their personalities, their style of love. So this is the first thing we need to consider if you're going to have this conversation, and if we really need to solve this conversation, properly address it. Second problem, data collection. Let's just say now I have negative core beliefs about myself. Now I'm an adult. I'm traversing in the real world. I'm navigating. I need to form relationships. I need to believe in myself. I need to make moves by which I become successful. I make money. I need to find who I am. I need to find friend groups, friends. These are all the missions I have as an adult, as an adolescent as well. So I'm navigating in this world, and my core belief is that I need to doubt myself. I don't feel the strongest about myself. I'm not the most secure individual. I try to make friends with 3 people. It goes well, but then in a year, things fall apart. They leave. They're not talking to me. For whatever reasons, things did not pan out. I also find a girlfriend, or I find a boyfriend. Whatever your sexual orientation is, you find whoever you love. That thing falls apart in a year. 2 types of information I receive. One is actual objective data of what happened. Second is interpretive data, what I interpreted. What actually objectively happened is, out of 8 billion human beings, out of, let's say, 5 million to 25 million human beings in your city, I don't know what your city is. Let's say you live in a metropolis or a metropolitan city, crowded city, lots of human beings. You met 3 adolescent or young adults. 3. And in a year, things didn't really go that well. We didn't become the best of friends. Things fell apart. Now, that's objective data. If you go even further, why? Let's build causal theories. One of the reasons could be maybe with all three different people, different things were happening in their lives. First causal theory would be situational factors. Some situation in their life changed. Maybe they're going through something. Maybe their current needs, wants, pressures, requirements, hopes, dreams, ambitions, whatever their needs are. Based on that and based on the circumstances, situations in their lives, some things are causing them problem. Some things are not working out. So they basically are maybe isolating themselves. Maybe. It's a theory. It's a very legit theory. Maybe that person has chosen two very strong confidants, people they're the closest with, and they're limiting themselves to those two people. And you're not one of them, and it's okay. It's okay. You only met these people a year ago. And right now they're going through something, so they have just latched on or fixated or moved toward the closest people in their lives for social support, emotional support. They don't have the cognitive energy to just right now do 15 other extra things socially. There could be cultural reasons. What does that mean? What they have learned from their cultures also matters because they will bring all those teachings, behaviors, thinking styles, thinking patterns into their other social relationships as well. So if they are from another culture, there could be genuine, legitimate cultural factors because of which things did not work out between you two. Their ways of seeing the world, epistemology, cultural epistemology, may be very different from how you see the world, how you behave, how you construct reality, how you see reality. Unconsciously, by the way. And maybe because of that, the relationship did not pan out. Third factor could be personality, which is called individual factors. Maybe they fall out of friendships with every person in their life in a year or so. Maybe whoever they are, personality-wise, allows them to sustain friendships that are very short-term, temporary. But as you get to know them closely, as you become very close to them, things become difficult. Let's just say that. Fourth factor, disorder. Humans can have genuine disorders. A lot of disorders impact behavior. Immensely, by the way. Immensely. A core part of a lot of disorders is emotion dysregulation. A core part of disorders that pertain to anxiety and depression is isolating themselves. Low responsiveness to rewards, low responsiveness to reward cues. Anhedonia, which is reduced sense of pleasure in life or loss of pleasure. These are just 4 factors. There could be 100. Many things could be responsible for why things didn't pan out with them that have nothing to do with you. Or maybe very little, not as substantial, not as immense as you are telling yourself, not as strong, that supports the core belief that, oh, well, I am a shithead. I am a fucking lonely fuck. I don't deserve friends. They will all abandon me. People will just reject me. Maybe there's absolutely nothing to support that conclusion. And that's where we are getting at. The interpretive reality and the objective reality are two different things. So objectively, in terms of data collection, 3 friends left. A girlfriend left you. The interpretive reality is confirmation bias. I have a negative core belief that probably stems from my childhood, probably was built around that time. Whatever the situation was at home, who knows? Unfortunate circumstances also occur in people's life. People have tough childhoods. People have homes where parents are doing or trying their best, but neglect is happening not because of intentional behavioral reasons. It's happening because parents have 2 jobs. They're trying their hardest to sustain, to provide subsistence in order to provide for the child. An unintended consequence is that there is neglect. That also occurs in a lot of households. It is those households in which older siblings become or take on the roles of parents, of caregivers. Because parents, unfortunately, are busy. They have to be busy. And then even when they come home, they're so crushed, they're so fatigued. They are present, but they're mentally tired, which does not mean that they're not loving, they're not kind, they're not compassionate toward their kids, but they're also tired. They probably cannot cognitively contribute as much as they would like to. There are deficits. So coming back, so a person can have negative self-beliefs. According to the schema theory or the schema therapy, these will be negative self-schemas. According to CBT, this will be called negative core beliefs. So you're an individual who's walking around with these thoughts. In data collection, when experiences happen, your interpretive reality becomes more of confirmation bias than objective analysis of what really happened. You're not looking at the statistical reality. what happened here truly. I'm going to first wait, analyze, then extract the needful feedback that I can apply to my life or on my life and become better. That's not your mind process. That's not your thought process. Let's take another example. You get dumped. We all get dumped. Everybody gets dumped. I don't think there's a single human being on this planet who didn't get dumped. Okay, so you're an adolescent, you're a young adult, you got dumped. The conclusion you might form from that is, this was the best human being on the planet, and because I got dumped by this person, I'm the worst human being on the planet, or I'm the most undeserving. I'm ruined. And now my mission in life for, I don't know, maybe 3 years, I can't look into the future. But for the longest period of time, I think now I'm going to be devoting myself to obsessing over this human being, stalking them, and extracting the strongest conclusions about myself based on my failure to rekindle the romance, rekindle the relationship. So a lot of people are doing that. You're obsessing over this ex of yours. Now, let's look at it objectively as well, because that's interpretive nonsense. That's not objective data. What is objective data? You met a young person. Maybe you were 18. If you just simply look at all the psychological literature, also all the neuroscience literature about the brain of an adolescent, you will realize the first thing maybe what you should do is take it easy. Take it easy on yourself. You don't have to be that harsh. You don't have to be harsh at all. Let's look at it from the psychology's perspective. Erickson's theory. That age between, let's say, 16 to 20 majorly is an age or a stage of identity formation. A person does not know who they are. That's why they're joining groups, imitating others, people on social media, mimicking whoever they think is cool. Because they're trying by trial and error what will gain them group memberships. So they're trying behaviors that will give entry to most amount of group memberships. You want to be liked. You want to be socially accepted. It's a biological need. You are a social mammal. Second, from the point of view of neuroscience, you're high on risk-taking. Guys are higher than girls. You are high on impulsive behavior. Very high impulsive behavior. Less self-control. Very high lack of long-term thinking, which is part of impulsive behavior. In short, again, you're trying out things. But also you want to be impressive. You want to be accepted. So in order to win amongst your peers, you're trying to be risky as well. You want to stand out as well. In all of these processes, try to understand at core what is happening. A person is largely confused. They're trying to figure themselves out. They have major influences, major pressures. One, they don't know who they are, but they want to appear like adults. They want to appear like we are thinking beings. I'm smart, mature, good enough to be part of groups. You should accept me. So I'm not some flawed being. They're trying to prove themselves that they're not children, so I will take risks. I'm not immature, I can take risks. Their brains are still developing. And lastly, just look at the number of years they've had in their life. Their adult life has not even begun. If you're talking about a person who's 18, how many experiences, given the number of years, do you think they've had? For even the smartest 18-year-old who will extract lessons immediately, for even that person right now, they will be committing a lot of mistakes. Error rate will be high to be able to extract those necessary lessons by which they correct themselves. Experiences are required for an individual to figure out what are the right decisions in these environments, in these situations. What are the signs? Again, I'm not saying only experiences are required. A priori reasoning or thinking can help, sure. But we are largely talking about highly inexperienced people, and they're trying out as many things as possible. If you were to put an estimate, if you were to guess, how high an error rate would you grant them? You were in a relationship with that person. That relationship tanked because that person probably got confused, probably was not sure in the first place, probably went to somebody else, probably were confused about their own feelings, and they made an impulsive decision coming with you. Now they made another impulsive decision going back to that person, and probably that new relationship will not materialize into anything substantial either. Because you know what? They're still kids. So that's objective reality. I'm so sorry I'm taking that long. But somebody needs to hear this. You really need to listen to the reasoning. The reality of your own experience as opposed to what you have interpreted in your mind. It is an analytical error. So, back to objective reality. If I am to navigate through this life without inviting too much hurt or minimizing pain, if that's my goal for now, but my needs are still, I need to find a relationship, I need to find good friends, Maybe I need to take it easy on myself, understand that the error rate at this current stage will be high. People are going to be very impulsive. People have situational factors, cultural factors, personality factors, external factors, familial factors, disorder-related factors, mental health-related factors, many things happening in their lives, financial factors. You can be friends with somebody right now, and let's just say they find a job somewhere else and they have to move. High chance that that friendship will probably not materialize into the best friendship because they have changed. So that would be geographical factor or proximal factors. Same thing can happen to a girlfriend. You can be dating at 19, 20, 21, 22. They have to move. You have to move. Relationship does not materialize into something substantial, something long-term. Not your fault. Not your fault. Proximity. Proximal factors. The interpretive reality rarely takes into account this much objectivity, especially when it is too keen on reconfirming the core beliefs. I am shit. Now what happens is, let's say you're this person, you're at this stage, negative experience happens. Then you confirm from that negative experience that, oh, well, I'm crap. The second you tell yourself you're crap, the likelihood of you going out and finding new relationships goes low, because from one bad experience, what you're saying is, I don't deserve more relationships. I think every person will leave me. So you will probably just close down. You will close yourself up in a room, in a job. You will stop making advances. You will stop making effort because your underlying belief is that I will be met with rejection. I don't deserve this. But in reality, the problem simply is biased, flawed, poor analysis. Really poor analysis of what really happened, which stems from, again, core negative self-belief. From this point, the third problem then becomes conscious, voluntary self-isolation. I tried making friends 3 times. It failed. I should cease attempting, putting efforts, and making new friends altogether. I should cease trying to find a new girlfriend, or I should obsess over this current ex-girlfriend of mine by stalking her online. I should be just looking at her pictures, what she's doing. And this is another problem, that in social media or on the internet, we have this way where we can constantly monitor people who move away from our lives. We can monitor what they're doing, how they look, which is basically just one way of being stuck in your past. Self-isolation further confirms. So now you have created a reinforcement loop. I'm alone. Then I will self-isolate. It confirms, well, told ya, you deserve to be alone. Nobody loves you. Nobody's there. Fourth reason, internet. Algorithms will give you what they think you want. If you think you are a victim, if you think nobody loves you, if you think I need victimization, I need to feel sad about who I am, my state of affairs, state of men, I'm a man, I'm lonely. Your entire algorithm will be filled with just making you feel lonelier and lonelier and lonelier. And this is your perpetual reality. Victimhood. You are a victim. Something terrible has happened to you, something that basically states it is out of your control. You have no control over this situation. You cannot change the situation. You're an individual that has no options. And there is no stage at which internet enters in your life. It has always been there. It has been there ever since you were 14. It's not something that just came after the breakup. You've always lived in the shadow. The relationship or the attempt with these 3 people were, in your head, your chances of getting out from this underlying belief that you deserve to be lonely. But hey, you made a girlfriend. You put some effort. Somebody came into your life. You made a boyfriend. You tried to be friends with 3 people. You went to a university. You were hanging out. But then that went away. So you came back to the shadow and confirmed it even harder, that I deserve to live here only. Fuck all effort. And what is internet? Let's also talk about internet properly, actually. There is memes or just video content with sad fucking music. There's no particular creator attached to it, not particular influencer that you're following. It's just an algorithm. It's just your homepage. It's just your scrolling fucking page, which is filled with sad shit, which victimizes you further. That's one thing. Then, on the other hand, there are people who appear as solution givers. Kind of like what I am doing right now. In the cohort of these people, there are people who also then don't really want to solve your problem. They want to keep you lonely and angry. Or even if they actually believe they don't want to keep you lonely and angry, they're going to push you on a path that's going to make you even lonelier. And this is the complex reality of what is happening right now. And it's really very complex because what they're saying is part of it is really helpful. Go to the gym, work, have ambition, have a goal, great things, absolutely brilliant advice. Simple, sure, but effective. If any advice, which may seem simple, can travel and effectively make you do things, change your behavior, change your routine, make you get out of your bed and make you do something productive, then that advice is good, regardless of how simple it is. First. But then attached to these pieces of advice is a philosophy, governing philosophies, involving epistemologies, thinking patterns, types of thinking, looking at genders, looking at humans, looking at people, requiring you to believe a standardized way of seeing things, which could be highly incompatible with, again, objective thinking. If you objectively analyze those precepts, their conditions, their worldviews, basic fundamental worldviews upon which they give the solutions. This is how reality is. These assertions, these claims, if you rationally analyze them, you'll realize they're also really, they have no ground to stand on. They're not scientifically evidence-based. They're not even empirically evidence-based. They ignore 30 aspects of reality. In order to buy their premise, you have to build only a single extreme negative model of the thing, which is fear. This thing will leave you. This thing will fuck with you. This thing will betray you. You will be betrayed. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. So what are these? Again, these are confirmations. These are reflections. These are whispers of the same negative core beliefs that you developed as a child. So you immediately connect to them. You're drawn to them. Because if you look at it, just on the surface, if anybody says nobody's coming to save you, but at the same time, they are trying to help you, aren't they contradicting themselves? They are saving you. So the fact that nobody's coming to save you is false. There are people, genuine people all around you all the time who are selflessly helping somebody out. This happens every single day. Millions of instances of humans selflessly helping somebody out from whom they will receive nothing. Nothing in return. Pro-social behavior. It exists crazily in Homo sapiens. As load of creators who are giving brilliant solutions. There's endless amount of scientists, researchers, thinkers, philosophers who've tried to think of helping people, who wanted to help people, which was their core intrinsic motivation. That is why they wrote text upon text upon text. And if you read those texts, they will help you. So the fact that somebody's claiming that nobody's coming to save you is false. Because if life was fundamentally that, if humans have existed for 60,000 years, let's say, 100,000 years, and if our fundamental condition, our human nature is that we will never come to save anybody else, which means nobody's coming to save you then there will be no help. Empathy wouldn't have existed. All the institutions based on helping humans who are unfortunate, great misfortunes have befallen on some individual and we need to help them out. Systems like that, institutions like that, charitable foundations, people fundraising for somebody who's a complete stranger, paying for somebody's cancer treatment. 800 to 8 million types of behaviors wouldn't exist that are completely selfless and charitable. People come to help each other out all the time. That does not mean there are not people who will drag you down. Multiple things can be true at once. When somebody says nobody's coming to save you, what it does is it confirms that I'm lonely, that isolation makes sense. But at the same time, there are people who are giving you entire architectures, entire models of how you can start from A and take these minute steps. Because probably at this space, in this state, you might not be able to work very hard. So humans, smart humans, clever humans, and researchers, scientists, have built several ways of helping people at any stage and state. Solution for procrastination. People have researched about this extensively. Rumination, depression, anxiety, mental health problems, hardships, mental blocks, adversities, difficulties. There's a reason why a simple search will produce 10,000 results, because people, and a lot of people from those many people, did it because they wanted to genuinely help somebody. Again, multiplicity. Multiple motivations can exist. A person can want to help you, at the same time also not mind making money. Two motivations, nothing wrong with that. And in a continuum, maybe 20% is the external motivation that I'll make money. Their genuine happiness comes from helping people, seeing that this treatment actually help people. Researchers and psychologists like Marsha Linehan, I'm assuming I'm saying her name right, who developed dialectical behavioral therapy, which is for patients who have borderline personality disorder, which has a very high rate of self-deletion. So there are people who dedicated their entire lives in trying to reduce deaths because they wanted to help people. If you go through history, you will find hundreds of examples of people who've dedicated their lives to helping humans. So this thought that nobody's coming to save you is not exactly true. It's not exactly accurate, because institutions after institutions after institutions, humans have already created so many latent institutions, so many available resources that you can get help, which are based on the intention that people wanted to help you out. So a lot of this advice is based on extremes. And by extremes, another thing I mean is single models of problems. How many models have you created of the problem? Like I said, for example, a friendship didn't work out. Okay, I created at least 4 to 5 models. A girlfriend who left you, she's a young adult. I created 2 models at least. That she could be high on impulsivity, she could be confused, high sensation seeking, high risk taking. There could be many reasons why a person left. First thing that you need to observe is when you're listening to these people, when they talk about problems, very strong, big problems that clearly are complex, how many models do they build of that problem and how extensively objective those models are? Which means how much is their self embedded in those models versus to what extreme, to what limits are they removed from their analysis altogether? For example, if I'm talking about a problem, you don't see me embedding myself into the problem. How many independent, solitary, objective points of view that exist in that problem are they bringing when they discuss about it? That's an intellectual discussion. That will also be a very holistic discussion. And because it will be so extensive, there will be very less spot for judgment. The discussion will be highly analytical in nature and very less judgmental, very less extreme, very less accusatory. But when you listen to these people, you will see it's very high on accusation, very high on judgment, very high on fears, very high on emotions. Where's the analysis? Where is the objective, rational analysis? Where is breaking it down? Where is the dismantling, deconstruction? Complex problem solving requires looking at a thing as a whole, then as parts alone, basically deconstructing the problem into different parts and then inspecting the parts alone separately. Third, looking at the interrelatedness of the parts with each other and the whole. That's how you do problem solving. How many influencers have you watched in your life who did that? Instead of helping you out, what these influencers intentionally or unintentionally end up doing is pushing you further into either the same hole or into a different, deeper hole. A hole of extremity, a hole of racism, a hole of misogyny or man-hating, hating groups, hating yourself, hating this or hating that. At the same time, coupled with, hey, you should work out. You should also try to be a millionaire. Okay, so health, fitness, which is a very good advice. Millionaire, an advice that should be far more complex, far more educated than just be a millionaire, because that's greed. Then you're just teaching somebody another form of slavery. That's not freedom. That's not teaching freedom at all. You're not teaching self-control. All in all, these are few reasons why I think a lot of young people are suffering. I think there's a lot of self-isolation going on. I think there's a lot of delegating responsibility to absolutely superficial, these internet personalities and memes and an algorithm which dictates, which tells you, which guides you on how you should think about yourself, what you should do about yourself, how humans are, how the world is. If you're a white person, well, the world is completely against me. If you're a black person, well, they want to kill me. If you're a woman, they want to kill us. If you're a man, they're destroying us. Let's go to some solutions. You have negative core beliefs. Now, regardless of what the source or who the source is that gives you a completely new way to think about yourself, accept it. You need a change. The negative self-belief came from a place in which you were not in charge, in which you were a kid. You were a baby. So it happened to the mind of a baby. Now, I'm not saying that these thoughts will be very easy to replace because they're core beliefs, which means they're unconscious beliefs. They come as a natural automatic response to environment, to stimuli. When you're thinking, these are the set patterns that maybe start the thinking. This is very scary. What we're essentially talking about is rewriting the entire story. What we're talking about essentially is utter defiance, utter refusal, basically to start a war within. Your greatest war in life is going to be with yourself. You've heard that. Eastern philosophy is dangerously rooted in placing yourself as the main villain, the enemy that you have to beat, the battle that you have to conquer. The self is the enemy. The self is the obstacle. The focus toward the external is legitimate as well. It's needed. You live in this material world. So material world also makes sense. That exists. You exist in a material system. You have to pay your rent. You need to still make relationships. You cannot change the world altogether. The world will not change. Humans will see things in hierarchies. Humans will continuously build hierarchical models. That's how we think. We will see comfort. Material reality is there to stay. Sure, the fix exists in your mind. That's the switch. The way you're placing yourself in the world, the way you are predicting your position in the world, it's full of error. That's what the core beliefs are doing. They're just generating incredible amounts of errors. You have to fix that. That's the problem. That is a very real problem. It's also a problem that will take a very long time. But if it's a problem that you can recognize and accept and be willing to change, then a lot can happen. You can change everything. Just from this point, you can actually change a lot. Coupled with behavioral changes, the first change is mental. You have to, from this point on, refuse to believe shitty things about yourself. Shitty things about your identity. You have to absolutely reject negative statements about yourself. Negative absolutes about yourself, about your personality, about your dignity, about who you are, about your being. Very simple truths that you can start with are: I deserve love. Anything that my brain says that is contrary to that effect is false. It's false. I deserve love. 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 So what, she left? So what, he left? That's one human being. There are 8 billion people on this planet. One human being is not sufficient data. It's not sufficient data to produce anything. All that I can gain from that relationship is maybe some feedback about what I did wrong, what I tolerated, what were things that were my fault, and what were things that I clearly should have not tolerated that I can learn and then add into my preventative, precautious measures that I will carry into the future. Learnings. I'll learn from that. I'll become slightly more mature, and that's why we fuck up. And if we can learn from our fuck ups, we mature. We may actually gain wisdom from fuck ups if we try to extract enough lessons. If you consciously sit and avoid blaming yourself or only blaming yourself, maybe you can blame yourself 10%. But 90% is why. What was the root cause? Where did I go wrong? What were the patterns? What were the things? Why did I tolerate those things? So that will expose my weaknesses. That will expose my triggers, some tendencies in me, some urges in me, some selfish, stupid things in me. When I find enough things about myself, about how wrong I can be, how weak I can be, I get to humble myself. I am not the greatest being in my own world. I'm not the shittiest being in the entire reality. I am a human. It's okay. I'm going to fuck up, but I'm going to learn. But one human being is not the sum total of all experience needed, enough data needed for me to conclude ginormous conclusions about myself, about my reality, about my being, about my existence. That my existence is limited, that it's somehow small, short, inept, inadequate. No. Horseshit. Even 3 bad relationships, even 4 bad relationships. What you can do is, again, see what you did wrong in 4 relationships. You can have 4 failed relationships and realize that completely different things happened in all 4 of them. There were some minor overlaps, but they still do not point to some large, consistent pattern. Just look at it probabilistically. The chance of you going into 4 completely different relationships remains the same. One relationship does not dictate what the outcome of the other relationship will be. So the chance remains 50-50. Each time you enter a new relationship, the chance is 50-50. Because you can meet completely different types of people. The relationships can be completely different types of stories, completely different contents, and the breakups may happen for completely different reasons. We tend to think in linear ways, I understand. I am sorry that we want to find this linear narrative that connects everything, that connects all those 4 relationships, and I get this single, secluded, one exclusive conclusion about myself. No, life is complex. I'm sorry. Humans are complex. You're complex. Again, I'm not saying that in other human beings, 4 relationships may not present a common pattern. In some it can, and it's very likely in a lot of people, there is no pattern. One singular underlying, undergoverning pattern that connects all of those 4 relationships. Nope. Data matters. Analysis matters. Rationality matters. You've had one shitty relationship doesn't mean shit. You could be a shithead and it could be entirely your fault why that relationship failed. So, introspect on that. Maybe it was not the fault of the other person at all. It was completely my fault. I am, let's say, a person who mistreated them, ill-treated them, was saying constantly how dumb they are, how stupid they are, was neglecting them, didn't give a crap about them, didn't respect the agreement I made with them, didn't honor their wishes, and they left. A very 2 simple core components we can take. I'm a person with negative core belief that I deserve to be alone. At the same time, personality-wise, I have very, very high disagreeableness. So I constantly battle with my partner. I am a huge proponent. I love arguing. Everything they say, I need to contradict it. I need to challenge them. I need to just prove them wrong. What is the likelihood that a person or a lot of people might leave that partner, might leave you if you do that? And then when they leave, you're like, oh, well, that just confirmed that I deserve to be alone for the rest of my life. So maybe what you need to retrospect on that is behaviorally, hey, I need to change. This thing is really, really not adaptive. And adaptive in the sense that if the biological need of Homo sapiens is to find romantic attachments, long-term attachments, and build families, I'll be failing in that because I'll be torturing people. I torture my friends. Some of them have stayed. Very courageous figures. But this is not something that can go on for very long. It's not helpful. It's going to butcher my relationships, as it has. The second solution is maybe you can learn different strategies. In case I've spent the majority of my life, majority of the time on the phone, maybe I have contributed to a severe lack in developing communication skills, communication strategies. Maybe I predict in my head that the other person is not going to like me. I cannot talk to them in the first place. They have nothing in common with me. So I have too many predictions already, which will be proven wrong. If I actually went and had a human, authentic conversation with another human being, I'll realize, well, actually, if you just try to be genuine, try to be slightly vulnerable, you just talk about your own stuff, you try to be honest, you don't mimic other people, you just talk about what is going on in your life. You ask about them, what is happening in their life, what do they do after work, what are their hobbies, talk about stuff they like, they enjoy. You'll realize conversations can happen. They can be easy. Not with everybody. There will always be humans with whom you will not gel, you will not have a friendship, they don't probably want to talk to you, and it's okay. It's okay. There will always be people. That's the beauty of human number, the ginormous number of human population. There are a lot of people in your life who you see around you that you don't want to sit and have a yapping session with. So it's completely normal. Nobody wants to talk to everybody. But if you identify that maybe you need to fix, and the problem is communication styles, communication openers, then that is a more solvable problem than these wrong predictions. These negative core beliefs producing high wrong predictions, which basically limit you, which basically prohibit you from even taking chances, making effort. Don't make any effort, you will not make anything happen. If you assume the worst from the starting point, then there is no point for the brain. So identify the right problems. Change your core beliefs. Watch creators specific to your problems. For example, if you have communication problems, watch creators, take courses of people, interact and consume content that helps you solve those problems. And lastly, fix your algorithm. Either put your phone away entirely, create an algorithm which just is about memes, comedy, and move to YouTube where you get to choose videos you want to watch, and step away from creators who, again, like I said, make you extreme. Move away from extreme content to just regular normal shit. Try doing that for at least 3 months and maybe you will see a difference in your mental health. If you have watched this entire video, good for you. Kudos. We'll keep making videos on each and every problem of yours. Don't worry. You will find the link to my Instagram in the pinned comment. Send your problems. I will try my hardest to make videos. Long, detailed, deep analysis. I will do that. Don't give up. Work hard. Make good goals. Believe in yourself. You can do anything. You can do anything and you deserve everything. Defy negativity. Defy it. Defy it. Accept and embrace optimism. Just embrace optimism. My life will be fine because I'm going to change it. I will make my life better. I will make my life better. There are plenty of humans who are available to help. If not directly, then indirectly. You cannot say thousands of books that are incredibly helpful that you will read to better yourself are not help. They are forms of help. Again, things can have multiple purposes. A person also earned some money, but also wrote with the objective of helping people, complete strangers. So take help. Use all that help. Become better. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You are not ordinary. You are not ordinary. You are not ordinary. I promise you. No human is ordinary. You're just not channeling your right potential. That's it. You don't know who you are. You have no idea who you are with the right mindset.